Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School of Fish Art Stream. J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Yeah. He said he used to have a howitzer on the end of his tail.
Hello, hello. Welcome back to the School of Fish Art Stream. I am your ever-loving Uncle Fish, back again, fastest working man in indie comics. Happy to be back. It has been a rough couple of weeks. I tell you what, it's been a rough year in 2024 so far. It's hard not to take it personal sometimes, but we're persevering. We're making our way through, and today we are making mini comics. Excited to be here. I love mini comics. It's always been something I've loved ever since, like back in the day with He-Man. You would get these little mini comics in the back that would give you a little bit of the background. What is up, PJ? What's up, Katie? What's up, Sarah? Glad you guys can make it. I always loved these little mini comics. I don't have it within arm's reach. I have collected mini comics and ash cans to a great degree. I've got a big box of them. It's a big part of my collection. If you're selling an ash can at a show, I'm absolutely going to buy it. I dig mini comics, and they're easy to make. They're easy to make at home. It's a really easy way to get your feet wet, feeling out how to make comics, how to tell stories in a graphic manner. Like this one in particular doesn't even have any words, which was a smart move for later He-Man mini comics, because then you're not limited to the languages of the country that they're being sold in. Kind of like the early Lego movies were all silent, because that way they can be shown anywhere and it doesn't matter what language you're speaking. You don't have to worry about lip sync and stuff. It's a smart idea. But learning how to tell a story in this little thing that's cheap and easy to produce at home is a nice way to get your feet wet before spending a whole bunch of money doing a big print run of big full-size comics. And it's easy to work out the bugs on something small and get a feel for it. The other thing I like about it is just the nostalgia factor of it. And like a friend of mine was showing me packs of these mini comics. What's up, Marquise? Glad you're here, man. A friend of mine was showing me Marvel mini comics and DC mini comics that were actually sold with like gum and stuff, like trading cards. And that spurred a whole list of ideas. And I went down the rabbit hole yesterday when I probably should have been working and doing other stuff, and started making mini comics. And so this is what we're going to talk about today, because like I said, they're really easy to do. I used to make these just out of 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I used to get them printed up in black and white on, the local Xerox machine at the copy shop, and print them up for like 5-10 cents a book and give them out and whatnot. Now I'm doing them in full color on my own printer at home, but you can see how beautiful all those colors came out. Man, everything's nice and glossy. It was super easy to do. So I figured we would just run down the real basics of how to do this. And the first thing you have to understand is the actual physics of how to make it. Now, I'm using an 11 by 17 sheet of paper because I have a large format printer that prints all the way to the edges. So like, my comics print all the way up to the edge there and everything. And doing it on a 11 by 17 sheet of paper, when I get done, it looks like this. And then I cut it in half and I have 2 books for 1 sheet of paper. I already have that paper on stock. They're doing posters and stuff. So that's the way I laid these out. You can also do it on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So we're going to start there first. Regular 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. The other thing that I really love about this size of mini comic, like you can do an ash can comic where you just fold the paper in half like this, and it's more the same shape and proportions of a traditional comic. Great size. You can get lots of readable area in here. This makes a really good little mini comic this way. But the thing that I really loved back in the day about this size is this size comic is exactly 50% the width of a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper and 50% the height of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. So you could literally use an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper to draw your comic on. Like I used to get cardstock and draw right on these things. And I would lay my comic pages out on here, ink them, and then I could scan it in my regular scanner at home. I didn't have to have a large format scanner for 11 by 17 sheets. And then when you reduce it down, it's exactly the right size for this format of mini comic, which is another reason I like this. And for the same price of printing this sheet double-sided, you get either, you get more pages than you do if you just fold it in half. But what we got to do first is you're going to take your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and you're going to fold it in half this way. And I'm going to lay this down on my table real quick just so I can get a decent fold on it. I would show you on my other camera, but that's going to crash the computer. Okay, so we folded it in half, nice and easy, and then we're going to fold it in half this way. And now we have a nice little booklet where like this would be the front cover, this would be the inside cover, or usually in a mini comic, this would be page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5, page 6, and then the back cover. Well, it's folded in the middle. Either you can do this one of two ways. Either when you print them up like this, if you're just doing one sheet of paper like this, it might be easy to just cut it first on a paper cutter and then stack them together and fold them and staple them. That's what I used to do when I was doing these on a Xerox machine. I would take a big stack of the printed copies from the Xerox, chop them all in half, make stacks out of them, and then we would have a little folding party and we would gather up all the pages, put them together and staple them and, fold them. And me and the kids would have a little assembly line going making comics. What I tend to do now is I set up my page so that when it folds like this, all the pages are the right side up, and then I can print it out, fold it, staple it in the middle, and then just trim this edge off on my paper cutter. And with my big paper cutter, I could put a stack of 40 of these in there, line them up all nice and neat, and just off that little edge right there, and then all the pages open up. But that's how you could get one of these little 8-page booklets out of one sheet of paper. Now what you would need to do, depending on the way you're going to do it, would be I would take this little booklet and then I would go in and I would number those pages. Like this would be number 1. I put the little serif on it so I can tell which way is up. I'm going to use a marker so you can see what I'm doing. All right, there, we got a little 1 on there. And then I would come in here and label this one number 2, this one in here number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I'm going to put a little arrows on there so I know which way is up. Just in case, because my dysgraphia having butt will mix up the numbers. And all right, so I'm putting little arrows that show which way is up on all that. Messy little arrows because I'm trying to hold this up and do it so you can see it. But all right, we got little arrows pointing up. We got all the pages numbered. Then when we open it up and we lay it down, I can see page 1 and page 8 are right here beside. This is the front cover. This is the back cover going up. And at the bottom, we've got page 5 and page 4 going the other direction. Inside 2 and 7, 3 and 6. And anyway, this will be your guide for when you're laying it up this way on your page to print this out, you can look at this little reference and know, okay, this side of the page needs to be set up with with the front cover here, the back cover, and page 4 and 5 are going down, yada yada. If you want to cut this in half first, then I'll make you another template for that. But I did the same thing for the 11 by 17 sheet of paper. And when I print it out on 11 by 17 sheet of paper, I get 2 booklets. So I took my 11 by 17 sheet of paper, all right, great big, and I folded it in half, folded it in half again, which makes me, like I said, when I cut it in half this way, it makes me 2 booklets out of 1 sheet of paper. And I did the same thing, if you can see it there. I numbered all the pages, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, did the same things at the bottom. I had to go inside and number those pages all the way to 8. And now when you unfold it, I've got my little template to work off of. And even though I have done these things, I've printed probably 30 or 40 of these different books over the years this way, I still went back to this template a whole bunch of times because I never really trust myself on these things. So I went back to this a lot. But then once the page is printed out, all you got to do is take it, fold it, get a nice, clean, crisp fold. Now, on this one, these pages are folded together. That's not going to open. Fold it together like this, put it in my stapler, stapled it down the middle, folded it again, and then I put it in my paper cutter and I trimmed off just like a 1/16 of an inch all the way down this edge, which cuts that little fold and opens those pages up. So now I have 4 pages of a big long double book. Then I put it in the paper cutter and cut it that way. That's part of why I got that big paper cutter, so I could put booklets like this in there and trim them all nice and neat, because trying to trim this by hand with an X-Acto knife is never going to come out looking nice. It's hard with one of the shrink paper cutters, the machete looking paper cutters. It's a guillotine, but it looks like a machete to me. But the ones like they had at school where shrink, that one. It's hard to get a straight line on this really close to the edge. That's why I like my big guillotine cutter, because it has a press that presses down really hard and holds this all nice and flat and doesn't let it move. And then that guillotine cutter just comes through and slices through like slicing through butter and trims everything nice, neat, and flush. And I love it. And then when you do that, then you get these nice, neat little booklets that have all the little straight edges and all the little pages are open. And like originally, these 2 pages were folded together. Now they're open. Everything is nice and trim. You can see where it trimmed nice and neatly where the other book was. Just comes out freaking beautiful. I absolutely love it. And then all I had to do was print these things up on my large format printer for doing 11 by 17. Now you could do the 8.5 by 11 ones on any home printer. The only thing to keep in mind if you're doing this on a home printer is, does your printer print all the way to the edge? Now that's not something just every printer does. Not every printer will print a bleed trim and print all the way off the edge of the paper. That's usually a little bit higher end. You can get those printers for like $200 something, under $300, I think. They're not bad to get them that will do this size all day long, which would come in real handy if you want that kind of edge on your book. The other thing you can do is leave a little white border all the way around, and then you'll have a little white border around the edge of your cover. That's perfectly fine. Make it part of the aesthetic of the book. Every book has a little white frame around it. That's absolutely fine. You can do that. With a nicer printer, you could take the artwork in here all the way to the edge, like a bleed trim if you want, or not. I like it with a nice white border around everything. I think that's cool. All the mini comics I used to do had a nice white border around it because I was getting them printed on Xerox machines. They could not go all the way to the edge. So rather than have it go most of the way to the edge and then blur at the sides and look crappy, I made it part of the design and cut the black off before it got there, and it made it look a lot sharper. But I want to show you the file itself that I set up, and I'm going to make these files available on the School of Fish Patreon. It's going to be available in the downloads section, and it will be there. Let me open up Clip Studio because I haven't been working in this office for a minute. I've been packing and making books and packing shipments and moving stuff out of storage and putting stuff away and building cabinets and doing all kinds of things like that. But what I have not been doing is in this room making comments, or on the, not in Clip Studio. All right, let's see. I need to share my screen. Screen Makers is the place to be. Comic making is the life for me. Comics spreading out so far and wide. Keep Manhattan, just give me a countryside. I don't know how to change that. All right, let's see. Open. And then we are going to go down to mini comics. And nope, that's not the one. I believe that's nope, that's not the one. That's the one sitting next to the one. All right, we'll do the T-Man one. Now, since everybody probably doesn't have Clip Studio EX version, I'm going to save these as two separate pages, a front and a back page, and you guys can use the template to create from. I set it up as a book file that has it all together in one thing, just because I have the EX version and it's nice and easy for me to keep it there. Okay, I'm gonna double click on that one, open it up, and here we go. This is the inside page, and you can see it's got page 1 right there, and then page 6 because of the way that it folds. Page 5 is right there. Page 2 is over here, and then on the other one we have the front cover, the back cover, and then we have pages 3 and 4. And then everything is duplicated again on the way down. Now, I set all these pages up on separate files. I didn't draw this stuff on this page. I just use this page for laying it out. And I'm gonna load this template page up too for you so that you can have that as well. Let's see, but I'll show you what I started from. Here we go. All right, here we go. This is the mini comic page. It's laid up to the dimensions of the final page, which is when you cut an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper in half both ways to get this size of book, you end up with 4 1/4 across the top by 5 1/2 up and down. So this page is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It has the little border already in it that you can put all your artwork inside and everything will be masked off. It also has down here, it already has little bubbles in the bottom for page numbers. So all you got to do is click on the text tool, go in there and click and say, I want to make that page 1. Whoops, it's blue. Undo. Turn my color to black. All right, say I want to make that page 1. All right, and then I'm going to click OK. I'm going to grab that little dude and move him a little bit closer in, and then I'm going to zoom out, grab the one that I don't need, and delete. And then when I open this page for page 2, I will put page 2 on the other side and delete that. I'm going to undo this because I don't want to mess up my template page. But I set everything up on this page. This is where I do my design work. This is where I draw stuff that I'm going to draw. I do my lettering and stuff. And then it will end up looking like one of these pages. We will do... No. Well, that's just going to be... Oh, that'll be the inside. Give it a second to load because it's loading from my other computer. Then it will look like this when you're done with it. And we got the little page number in there. We've got the artwork. We've got some old artwork that I got to reuse from issue 3 of Caw the Cro-Magnon, which I just finished coloring today and will be going out to subscribers on my Patreon at the end of the month. So there's still time to get in. If you're watching this on TikTok later, there's still time to subscribe. And I did some new artwork and stuff. Tell a little bit more about the world that he came from. This is basically just an introduction to Caw. And that's what I wanted to do with these little mini comics. That's where they went. Hold on one second. I wanted to make these little introductions to the world. So like this one gives you a little brief introduction of who T-Man and Hyperstrike is, who Professor Prometheus is from the book, and what his major plot is. And so we get a little hook of what's going on in here. And then at the end, if you want to know more about what's going on, you can check out T-Man and Hyperstrike. And on the back, it has all of the books listed. It has a little QR code that you can scan, and even tells you that you can subscribe today at MrFishComics.com. This one right here isn't just the opening to Green Zone. It has some of the opening to Green Zone in it, but it also has some of issue 2 and stuff in there. And this is really just Virgil getting ready for the day and seeing a little bit of how hard life has been for him, how hard it has been since he's decided to become a cop. Gives you a little introduction to it. And of course, at the end, if you'd like to know more, check out Green Zone Life in the Blocks. And then the back has the same QR code and everything. You could scan a little ad telling you subscribe and save some money. The Caw the Cro-Magnon one is the same thing. I wanted to give a little overview, and there's a little bit more background information in here. If you haven't read the source book, let's say, this is a nice little introduction that will tell you more about where Caw came from, what his home world's like, why he was put in the arena when he was a child, where he got his name from, how he became the deadliest warrior in the galaxy, how he ended up leading a slave rebellion. And then it gets right to the point where the Angelic Council decides to put a bounty on his head. They can't kill him, so anybody that can capture him and get him off world will get a king's ransom. So the Skeetian pirates, they're not going to pass that up, so they capture him and they get him off world. And then what the hell do you do with him when you have the deadliest barbarian in the universe captured? Doesn't go well. You'll find out more in issue 1, 2, and 3 of Caw. Issue 3 coming soon to Patreon, only to subscribers. And then, Green Zone again. But I want to do little introductory books like this for all my series. And this makes something neat to be able to do. These things literally came up to like under 15 cents a piece for me to print out and make. And like I said, I get 2 out of a sheet, so they come up to like 15 cents each. That's an easy thing to be able to give away if it comes down to it. I could use these as prizes, let people spin a wheel when they come up to my table. Maybe they get a free piece of candy. Maybe most of the things on the prize wheel are get a piece of candy. Maybe some of them are get a trading card. Maybe some of them are get a mini comic. Maybe one of them is get a poster, and maybe one of them is get a free comic of, whatever. But this, for 15 cents, is real easy to give away. Or this is real easy to be able to say, hey, you can get this mini comic for $1 or $1.50 or whatever. After talking with one of my friends, what I'm going to end up doing with these is I'm going to end up making little packs, like little trading card packs where they're, wrapped up in a little container. And I'm going to have the mini comic. I'm going to have stickers and trading cards and a stick of gum. And I'm actually even going to put my Tick Loud and Proud Tourette Syndrome bracelets in with the T-Man and Hyperstrike book. And I actually ordered, because I didn't sleep last night and nobody was watching me, I also ordered some Mr. Fish Comics wristbands. So those are coming now. And they're going to go in the packs too because, I ordered them. And so I'm thinking like that'll make a really neat little thing to be like, hey, you can check it out for $3 and get all this cool little stuff in there. Or you could get 2 for $5 if you want. Check out 2 books for just $5. I think that would be a fun little thing to have at the shows. Especially have something cool that like kids can get, because there's usually not a whole lot of stuff available for kids at the shows. There's not a whole lot of stuff that's kid friendly. The only one that I'm going to warn anybody about is the call one, because like there's a little bit of blood and there is one scene that's a little gory. That's going to be more of like a with your parents' permission kind of thing. But I'm going to do several of these for the show. I want to do one. I'm thinking I might do one just for Hyperstrike. I might do one I did one for Virgil. I'd like to do one for Bellamy and one for Brooks, maybe even one for Kim, which would take a lot of new artwork. But if I have time before the next con, I'd like to try and get that done too. But I think it would be a neat little thing to have something that the kids can get, because kids don't usually have a lot of money. Like the con I'm going to at the end of April, Mike Watson's helped putting on Urban Nerd Con, and Mike has done this before, and I love it. He works with the sponsors and gets them to work up vouchers for every kid that comes in the show. So every kid that comes in gets a $5 voucher that they can spend at any booth that they want to. And then at the end of the day, we take the vouchers that we got for whatever, and we go give that to them and cash in at the end of the night. It lets the kids have fun. It lets nobody leave without being able to get something, no matter what their financial status may be when they were coming into the show. Like I've known a lot of times families come in with like 4 or 5 kids, and just getting in the show might have been all they could afford to do. So we're just looking, we ain't got money to spend on nothing, even if that nothing is $1 mini comic. Totally understand. So it's a really cool idea to be able to get the sponsors to help out and let the kids be able to get something for not a whole lot of money. And so they pushed us to make sure everybody has something cheap that the kids can buy. So I'm going to have mini comics, and I will have mini comics in packs with gum and a wristband and stickers and trading cards. And some of the trading cards will be holographic and all the cool stuff. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be cool. Making the mini comics is so easy. I've had so much fun doing these. And honestly, now admittedly, I had several books to work from to pull artwork for these. Like I've got 3 issues of this to pull artwork from. I still drew several new panels for it. Green Zone, I had 3 books to pull from. I didn't have to draw any new artwork for that one. Don't think I had to for T-Man and Hyperstrike either. And they came out really cool. But even if I did have to do these, but I knocked all of these out in an easy day yesterday. Making them, fine-tuning the printing issues and stuff, the whole 9 yards. Speaking of the printing issues, when you print these out, you absolutely, no matter which size you're doing, you need to make a test print or two. Don't jump in and start printing 200 copies of this right away. Do a test print, fold it together, cut it out, staple the whole 9 yards, and see how it looks. Because like one of the things I noticed with mine was, even though all of these things were centered and even though I had pretty well accommodated for the trim line and everything, when it came time to print them and cut them, you see how this image isn't centered in there? It's just a hair off to one side. Let me zoom in further. You see, like, it's just a hair off right there. I went through my first printout and I made after I stapled it together, I made notes of things I needed to change. And then I went back in here and I realized all of the pages needed to be bumped into the fold a little bit, into the center of the comic, because, you know, when it's something this small, when the comic is this small, even a 1/16 of an inch that you're trimming off of the side makes a big difference. So when this image was perfectly centered from here to here, and then you trim off a 1/16 of an inch, it was kind of obvious that this was a little bit far that way. And if I made any mistakes in folding, or my fold wasn't absolutely perfectly down the middle, then one page might be a little bit closer to the edge, and it was kind of obvious. So by scooching everything like a 1/16 of an inch towards the center, really helped balance all that out. So now when I trim it, it doesn't look like it's off centered, and everything still comes out looking nice. And if I make the tiniest little mistake in folding it and something is, you know, a 32nd of an inch off or something, it's not very obvious at this small scale, because I have that little bit of extra leeway, which is really nice. I also, as you can see, I gave it a very generous border around the top and bottom, just to help me, like, if there were any printing issues and say my printer messed up and it didn't print all the way to the edge here, and I ended up having to trim off, you know, a 32nd of an inch or a 1/16 of an inch off the top of the book to trim it so it looked nice, I've got enough border around there that it's not going to be really obvious and dramatic. So those are little things that I hope were helpful. Some of the stuff has already been designed into it, but like when it comes to laying out the pages, I had to bump all my pages in just a little bit from the guidelines. And you'll see this one, when we zoom in, is just a little bit that way. And this page is just a little bit that way, because that is going into the center of those two pages. So they're working a little bit closer in, so there's a little bit on the outside to cut. So once you've got them all laid out, this also has border lines on it, or has guidelines on it to show you where the center is, where each one of the pages are supposed to go. You can adjust the pages from there after your test print, after you see how yours prints. Maybe you don't need to adjust it. Maybe you do. Mine, I definitely did need to adjust it. Once you have them all in there and you have them in the basically right places, what I like to do, because each one of these little images that I uploaded are exactly the 4 1/4 wide by 5 1/2, so they're exactly half the size of the page up and down and quarter going across. I went and selected each one of those, and I'm going to center them in the page right now just to show you that they're moved off. I selected all of those images, and then I hit over here, align to top edge in the alignment, and boom, they're all bumped up there to the top, nice and neat. Now I'm going to delete these just to show you. Once you have those all laid out and they're all nice and neat and they're all positioned where they need to be and they're all aligned with the top of the page, all nice and neat, then you can come back in and select all those, and then you can duplicate them, and then I grab them and move them all up so they're all right next to each other, just because I like to. And then I hit align to bottom edge of the page. I have canvas selected over here, so the canvas is what it's aligning to. and then I select align bottom edges, and then it, boom, slams them all down to the bottom of the page. They all stay in the positions they were side to side. So they're all still lined up side to side where I adjusted them for printing. But now they're, boom, all lined to the bottom of the page. So once you line up one and get it where you want it, you can copy and paste those layers and then align them to the bottom, and you're done. It's super easy. I'm going to show you how to lay out the 8.5 by 11 page now. So if you want to do this yourself, you absolutely can. All right. So we got the 8.5 by 11 sheet here, and I'm going to make a new page, file, new, and you can't see that because it's on the wrong screen. And the width is 8.5. The height is 11. The resolution is 600 because that's what I work at. So I'm keeping it nice and standard. I don't want multiple pages. I don't want any of the comic settings turned on or anything. I don't want a cover page, so I'm good to go. Oh, I don't want record time lapse on either. All right, there we go. 8.5 by 11 page. Boom, nearly done. I'm going to come over here onto the ruler. I'm going to click and drag. Oh, look at that. I have a ruler. It's not in the center. So I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to come over here to my alignment. It's still set to canvas. And I'm going to say I want to align to the horizontal center. Boom. That layout line is now in the center of the page. Bob's your uncle. That's halfway done. Now I'm going to click and drag from the top ruler. Oh, look, here's another line. And then I'm going to say I want to align to the vertical centers, up and down. Boom. It's in the middle. That's practically it. That's practically the end of the road right there. I am going to save this under Mini Comics as Mini Comic 8.5 by 11. Let's see, sheet. We're going to say A. And then we'll make it 000 so you can add on as many pages as you want. All right. So now that is saved. I am going to save a duplicate of it as a Clip Studio file. And I'm going to make it B for the backside. All right. So now I'm going to decide that I'm going to arbitrarily decide that this side that has the front cover and the back cover, because that's number 1 and number 8, that this is the A side. So I'm going to lay up my page like this. I'll lay up a different format for if you want to cut it in half later, and I'll upload that at another time. But this one I'm going to do right now in front of y'all and show y'all how it's done. And I'm going to upload it right after this. So we're going to do it this way. And this is for the fold it, staple it, and then cut the bottom off method. All right. Because to me, that's nice and easy. So we're doing it this way right now. So now I'm going to lay it up off of this template. So by that template, this is, man, my color still be light blue. All right, there we go. Page 1. And I wonder if we got a clip art arrow in here. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to search all of. I don't want to search all of Clip Studio for that. No. All right, never mind. All right, we're just gonna make one. All right, gonna make a vector layer. Still set to blue. Why am I not learning to change things? All right. That's enough to show us which way up is. All right, complete that. And now I'm going to right click on that. I'm going to convert that layer, and you can't see it because it's coming up on the other page. I'm going to convert it from a vector layer to an image material layer. And now it is a shape that I can move around in one big piece. Someone took out our mailboxes, so we've had to get our mail from the post office. She just came home with a package from Mr. Fish, a package from Laguna. Awesome. Man, I'm sorry about your mailbox, but I'm glad you got it. All right, now I'm going to copy and paste this page 1, but it's not going to be page 1 over here. No, because that would be silly. Over here, it's page 8. All right. And then I'm going to copy and paste this shape over here so we know which side is up on that one. And then I'm going to duplicate this and hold down Shift and rotate that. And hold down Shift and rotate that so that it rotates in stages. And then I'm going to move the whole layer. I'm going to bring it down here, holding down Shift so it moves nice and straight. And then working upside down, looking at my template. I know this is backwards for y'all, but I've got page 1, page 8, and then I've got page 4 and page 5 upside down. So I'm going to put them, page 4 goes under page 1, page 5 goes under page 8. I know it's backwards, I'm sorry. So under page 1, I make that 4. Under there, that's page 5. All right, and then I'm going to copy and paste the arrow. I'm going to bring it down here and hold Shift while I rotate so it rotates in stages. I'm going to copy and paste, slide it over here. And then let's see. All right, I can't do it. All right, so now I've got that laid out. I've got the layout lines in here. I got page 1, page 8. And when I get done in the other page laying it out, I export it as a JPEG at full size resolution. So the resolution there is the same size as the resolution on this page. So now all I have to do on this template page is come in and import image. And let's say, let's go mini comics. And wait a minute. Did I go to the right thing? Let me check just to make sure. File, import, image. Yeah, okay, I did. I know where I was. I know why it didn't look right. I know why. Because I was organized. That's why. Mini comics. And then we'll go to call mini comic. and nothing shows up there because that was the wrong one. Final art. That's where I wanted to be. And we would grab the cover because the cover is going to be that first page. And boom, there it is. Now I can take it. I can go over here to my alignment tool. It's still selected to the canvas. I can say I want it to the right edge of the page and I want it to the top edge, and boom, it's right there. Now, this one is the wrong size because I made a mistake when I sized it. So I shouldn't have brought that one in because that's a bad example. So let's do this again. Because, yeah, I totally screwed up when I did the call pages and had them the wrong size. Let's do T-Man and Hyperstrike. All right. Now we got one that's the right size. And now I align it to the right edge of the page and the top edge, and boom, it's right there in line where it needs to be. And then I can import image. And now this image is going to be the wrong size too, but the background's white, so it's not as big of an issue. And I align it to the left-hand side, and then I align top edge and drop it behind the front cover, and it's fine. Fine and dandy. There we go. Yeah, for some reason, when I did my math the first time, and you'll have to forgive me, I haven't been sleeping good, but for some reason, when I did my math the first time, I thought that half of 8.5 was 4.5. Seemed perfectly logical when I hadn't slept. Turns out it's not. It's 4.25. Go figure. But yeah, I looked at a ruler and everything. And I was like, oh yeah, that's 4.5. It is not. And then I can come over here, and now I need to import page 4. Import image, and then I'm going to find T-Man page 4, which now this is where I recommend you number your pages differently than I did. All right. I labeled my front page T-Man front cover, and I labeled the first page of story as page 1. I should not have done that. Okay. Let's maximize here so we can take Uncle Fishy seriously. I labeled the front cover as front cover, and I labeled page 1 as page 1 because that's what I always do for files that I'm sending to another printer like Kablam. So when they look at them, they'll know, okay, this is the first page of story. This is the second page of story. This is the front cover. This is the inside front cover. This is the back cover, yada, yada. Because that's the way they want those files. That's the way I have done 80 comic books so far. So that's the way I did these. I should not have done them this way. I should have made the front cover page 1. I should have made the inside front cover page 2, and that would have been my first page of story. I should have done that, but I did not. I messed up. And now it makes this a little bit confusing because now I have to add 1 to the numbers that I'm importing because the front cover is page 1 and page 2 is going to be labeled page 1, and it makes it very confusing. I could have saved myself all that trouble if I had just labeled my pages the way they are on this, and they were page 1, page 2. I would have been done. It would have been easy. Learn from my mistakes. Do as I say, not as I do. All right, let's get off of my zoomed in bald head, which is a shame just for PJ. All right, we're loading in page 4, so it is going to be labeled page 3. See, you wouldn't have to do this math if you did it right. Now, I'm going to drag this over here. I'm going to come down to the corner handle so that it goes to the little rotation icon. I'm going to click and drag and hold down the shift key so it goes in 15-degree steps. Now it's upside down, and now I'm going to align it. Nope. I'm going to align it to the right edge and the bottom edge. Boom. It's in place. Now, because of my previous experience, I know I want to give it a little nudgy nudge to the center there so that it's going to print better for me on my printer. But that's where you need to do a test print on your printer. And then I'm going to import the next page, which will be page 5, which, because of the change in the numbers, will be page 4. It's very confusing because I didn't lay it out right to start with. I'm going to drag it down here. I'm going to click and drag on that corner rotation handle. Now, if I don't hold shift, I can stop it anywhere I want. I don't want to do that because I don't want it almost right. I'm going to hold down shift so it goes in nice 15-degree increments. So I get it to 180 degrees exactly, and it's perfect and not just kind of close. And now I'm going to align it to the left edge and the bottom edge. And then I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to hit the right arrow just to knock it a super nudge that way. And now I am ready for that page to go to print, and then it will fold, staple, and go. That's why that's like my math, even when I have slept properly. Absolutely. It can be tough. It can be hard out there for the mathematically illiterate. I used to be so good at math before the heat stroke. It makes me a little mad. Before the heat stroke, I could multiply and divide 4, 5, 6-digit numbers together in my head. No problem. Didn't need a scrap of paper. Now, I have to have my fingers to figure out a tip, and it's very frustrating. Everybody gets 20% tip from me because that's easier for me to figure out than, like, say, 15%. I can figure out 10 real easy and then double that. And so that's what everybody gets. Sorry if you did better. That's all I can figure out sitting at a table nowadays. Now I will open the duplicate of that page that I made. Mini comic 8.5 by 11B. All right, I'm gonna bring that in. Now I'm gonna go back to my first one and I'm gonna turn off all these images so I can see everything on here. And I'm gonna grab all of these arrows. I'm holding shift and I'm gonna grab the lettering, and I'm going to copy. I'm going to come over here to page 2 and I'm going to paste. And I didn't get everything, as you can clearly see. Copy, paste. All right. Copy, paste. Man, why are you going to do me like that, Clip Studio? You're going to burst me from my friends. Cool. Copy, paste. Still got to come back and get this one little lone survivor. Copy and paste. All right, now I need to set this up for the other side of the page. Now that was with, this is important because this would be an easy mistake to make. The other page was set up with 1 and 8 at the top of the page. All right. I'm not going to flip it this way or anything. I'm going to flip it this way, and I'm going to set it up this way. Because the numbers of the pages go both directions, that would be a real easy mistake to make and screw up. I don't want to do that. So I am taking this page and turning it over, and I'm laying it out this way now. So, and that's another thing where making a test print will come in real handy, because it's real easy to screw up when you've sent the paper. Let me enlarge myself again because I'm not enlarged enough. It's real easy to send the paper through this way and it comes out and it looks all great, and then take it, and you have to learn, like, when your paper comes out this way with my printer, most likely you're going to flip it this way and stick it back in, and it will print out again. And that way the top will be at the top both times. But, like, you're going to have to try that out and figure it out for your printer, make sure everything's working right with this. So doing one test print rather than printing 100 of these and thinking you have it right, and then realizing one side is rotated 180 degrees and you screwed everything up and they're pointless. Don't do that. Make a test print, make another test print, make sure you work the bugs out, then print them in bulk. Learn from my mistakes. I did that before once. I Xeroxed 100 copies of one of my books that I did a long time ago, and all right, so on this one, that's going to be page 2. And by our template that I've got right here, it's page 7, right there. And then down here at the bottom, that is going to be page 3. And this is going to be page 6. Okie dokie. Okie dokie, little smoky. All right. And now you would do the same thing. You would load those pages up. You would put them in there. What I want to do just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to make a vector layer here. I'm going to get the straight bar tool, and I'm going to make a couple of bars across these lines so we'll be able to see them, and I'm going to print this out so that you can see how it works. All right, so now that's ready to go, and I am going to print properties. Plain white paper is fine. 8.5 by 11 is actually what I want. Okay, that actually is what I want. Now I need to go make sure I've got the right paper in the printer. Because I have sticker paper in there. That is not what I need. I need regular old plain white American paper. There we go. Not a bunch of fancy frou-frou paper. All right, we are going to click OK. We're going to send this one page, and it did not send everything to print. So we're going to cancel. We're going to try and figure out why it did that. Don't need anything fancy. I don't know why I did that. I'm gonna hit a print preview from the Epson printer, and all right. For some reason, it's showing my print preview without the page numbers on it. I'm going to say OK because it's going to send me a print preview to the Epson, and they are not there either. So I'm going to cancel. All right. We're going to do this then. We're going to grab those suckers right yonder. We're going to rasterize them puppies. Now they're just pretty pictures of letters. Now we're going to see what they do. See if that helps for some reason, because we're being squirrely on me now that everybody's watching. Yep, that fixed it, but it didn't fix the... Man, why you gotta do me like that? You know all my friends are watching. God, burst. All right, I'm gonna beef that up a little bit. I'm gonna hit an old Control C. Gonna rasterize that puppy. Gonna come over the other one. I'm gonna hit a paste, and then I'm gonna rasterize that old sucker too. I'm gonna come down, grab that in the under. Gonna give it an old rasterization. We'll come back to page A, and now we're gonna hit print again. And this time, better do what we want. Or we're just going to get mad and not do anything else about it, because I'm not going to bang up my brand new fancy printer. But I don't have to like it. All right. Now we're going to hit print. And yeah. I don't know if y'all will be able to see it or not. Let me see. Excuse the mess and the microphone there. Like I said, I've been moving a lot of stuff in the office. Now, for my printer, this printed out with the top of the page here. Came out this way, so I'm going to flip it over and stick it in this way with the top of the page down. All right, well, that's good enough. Good if we can do right now. All right. And now I'm going to go to page B, and I'm going to go to print, except on my printer now, I have to change where it's getting the paper from. And I wanted to take it from the rear paper feeder and not the internal one. Okie doke. Okie doke. Okie doke. And print. Alrighty. We have our page printed, and now we've got page 1, page 8. I'm sorry for it being reversed. Page 5, page 4, page 2, page 7, page 3, page 6. Seems all very confusing. All right, we got page 1 and page 8, the front and back covers. We're going to fold this with them on the outside. Fold it right there along that line. And now we have page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. Survey says sticky hands don't work well. Page 6, page 7, and page 8. All right, now I like to just fold that, and before I fold this one, I like to run it into the stapler. Now, I have this great big crazy long stapler that is made specifically for doing weird things like this. I can move this guide right here, and the nice thing is that it's all numbered down here. So if like I was printing on 11 by 17 sheet and I wanted to make a magazine size comic book, and I need to reach all the way over 8.5 inches into the center of that 17 inches to staple it down the middle, I can set this to 8.5 and just drop my paper in and staple it, and it'll be right where it needs to be. Now I've set this one to 4.25, so that it goes right to the middle of this page. And all I have to do is drop it in there. Normally I would be doing this on a flat surface, but so you can see, drop it in there and it stapled it. That one I got a little crooked because I was looking at you and not at the page, but it got it pretty close because I wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. Now this booklet can be folded in half this way, And boom, we got a booklet, except our bottoms are still tied together. Now, normally I would take this over to my big paper cutter, but that's kind of a waste for this little guy. Is it still set? Actually, it is still set to the right settings. So let's see. Yeah, you can see me over here. All right, so this is my big, massive paper cutter, and it's set to 5.5 inches, which is down to here. So all I got to do is drop that guy in there, clamp it down. Safety trigger, both hands on the bar. All right. I'm going to move it just a little bit further because that was just a little bit too close. There we go. Now, I've trimmed off just that little 32nd of an inch on the bottom there. Just a little hair. And now all my pages are open. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, page 5. Page 6 is still going to be a pain to get open. Page 6, page 7, and page 8. So there you go. You know the little template works for this way. That's the way I like doing them. You absolutely could set the pages up differently and just cut the page in half in the beginning and then staple it together. The only reason I like doing it this way is because sometimes the cuts aren't absolutely perfect, and sometimes things happen because we're people, and you know, people stuff up sometimes. And I got shipping labels in my light. And if you cut these out separately and it's not absolutely perfect, then when you're flipping through the book, maybe this page is a little bit shorter than this page. Whereas when you fold it all together and you trim it all at one time, it's nice and straight and smooth and clean, and they're all equal. Now, if you don't have a paper cutter that can do that, if you're trying to do it with a ruler and an X-Acto knife or something, or you're doing it with a pair of scissors or something like that, then I would recommend whatever it takes to get a smooth cut between them, which would probably be cut the page in half first, because getting through all these pages at one time with a ruler and X-Acto knife is hard. You'll end up with a fuzzy edge. Trying to do it with a pair of scissors is tough. You'll end up with a crooked edge this way. Doing it with like one of the machete looking shunk paper cutters, you could do one at a time, no problem. Like I said, I spent like $165 on that big paper cutter so that I could put a stack of like 40 of these in there and cut them all at one time and have them all be nice and even. You're probably not going to want to do that many at a time. So do whatever is easiest. You don't have to spend money to make this work. Like, you should be able to get this printed, and you don't even have to have a printer per se. You could take this down to the local copy shop. You could take this to Staples or Office Max and get these printed up for you there. I've done it. I've got friends who do it. There's a local kid that does an Ashcan mini comic. I buy every single issue he puts out, and he gets them printed at like Office Depot or something. No problem whatsoever. You can absolutely do them there if you don't have a nice color printer. And you know, I would do one or two and get the bugs worked out first before you do a whole bunch. But if you look around for deals, and if you sign up like at Office Depot or Office Max or Staples to their rewards programs, you will get coupons sometimes for 15, 20, 35% off of things. Like, if you get a 30% off coupon, absolutely go print up 100 of these if you want to and save a bunch of money doing it. Anyway, you know the template that we made works. Now you know how to make your own templates. You can make them for whatever you might want to or need to make them for. I will go into detail later on how I made the 11 by 17 one if you're interested. And I'm going to put the pages on the 11 by 17 one like I did for this one. So it's really easy and clear to know where you need to put each page. I'm going to set that up, and then I'm going to upload the 11 by 17 template and the 8.5 by 11 template if you've got a regular size printer. On my Patreon page, Mr. Fish Comics, it will be under the downloads tab, and you can find it there for free for anybody who wants it. You don't have to be a member. I just want to help people learn how to make comics. And frankly, making little mini comics like this is a whole lot of fun, and I think you should do it because it doesn't take a lot of time. It comes out, you can get really nice looking results at home, and they're cheap. Like I said, each one of these was like 15 cents for me to print. That's ink, paper, everything involved. So absolutely, you can do it. I want to be as helpful in that process as I can be. If you'd like to learn more about making comics, sign up for the School of Fish tier on my Patreon, and I will help you out. We will get some one-on-one time together. We're fixing to do a class very soon because I missed last month because a whole bunch of stuff hit at one time, but we're going to catch up and we're going to have a lot of fun working on stuff. There's time to sign up, and you can also subscribe and get comic books sent to your house every month, which is a great deal. You can even sign up and get them digitally. But the physical backers are probably going to get some mini comics as extra add-ins with their Caw issue 3 coming out at the end of this month. So there's still time to sign up if you want to get Caw 3 before anybody else. Go to the Patreon, Mr. Fish Comics, check it out, subscribe, and get your copy now. Anyway, had a lot of fun. I hope you guys got something out of that. And I'm going to get out of here and get some dinner. And remember, your Uncle Fishy loves you. Thanks for hanging out.
Hello, everybody. It is your Uncle Fish back again for School of Fish Art Stream. J-Man wants a Gatling gun on the end of his tail. Oh, my goodness. J-Man says the tail's where you put all the heavy artillery. Yeah.